I know, I do mortgages. I'm like, I need to know. The doctor.
Good evening, Commissioners, staff, and visitors. Thank you for joining us for the July 9th, 2026 regular meeting of the Fair Oaks Ranch Planning and Zoning Commission. The time is 6:30 p.m. and we'll begin with the roll call. When I call your name, please say here or present. Chairperson Shauna Barrett,
Here.
Chair David Horwath, Commissioner Linda Tom,
Here.
Commissioner Bobby Barnes,
Here.
Commissioner Eric Beilstein,
Here.
Commissioner Joe Markling,
Here.
and Commissioner Bobby Bailly.
Bobby, two here.
Present, a quorum is declared.
Will everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The committee will hear from anyone who has signed up to speak during the citizens to be heard. And if you wish to speak, you may do so or speak during the agenda items. At this time, we had nobody sign up, so we're good. We'll move on to the consent agenda. And all the following items are considered to be routine by the Planning and Zoning Commission. There will be no separate discussion on any items and will be enacted with one motion. Items may be removed by any council or committee member by making such request prior to the motion and vote. Do any members wish to remove the approval of the May 14th, 2026 Planning and Zoning meeting minutes?
To approve a consent agenda?
Hearing none, the consent will, by unanimous consent, it'll be adopted. At this time, we will move on to our workshop, and I would like to welcome Jessica to the podium. She's our city planner, and she will be going over the proposed code amendments.
Thank you, Chairperson Shauna, and good evening, commissioners and attendees. My name is Jessica Relucio, City Planner for the City of Fair Oaks Ranch. This presentation can be found on page 27 of the agenda packet. And tonight we'll be discussing the proposed code amendments. This presentation is broken out into two parts. The first part will consist of the proposed code amendments affecting both the Code of Ordinances, also known as ordinance, and the Unified Development Code, UDC amendments. And this section will be related to outdoor lighting. And then the second part will be consisting of the UDC amendments affecting only these parts related to retail sale of hemp, retail sale of kratom, data centers, religious institutions, and political signage on public property. So that will all be part of the UDC amendments portion. First, how did we arrive here and with these categories and the proposed amendments? Well, these code amendments were produced as a result of some community feedback, staff review, and council workshops. April 2nd was the Outdoor Lighting City Council workshop, and then June 4th was a UDC City Council workshop for those other items as mentioned. Now tonight, the Planning and Zoning Commission will review the proposed amendments and provide feedback to staff. Throughout the workshop, I will be pausing after each section to determine whether there is an agreement to move forward or a recommendation to revise the code. Now, to the first category of code amendments, outdoor lighting, and specifically recreational activities outdoor. The existing codes in the UDC and ordinance have conflicting times of ceasing illuminated lights at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m., and whether to conclude an activity already in progress. With that, council and staff recommends to have all zones, private and public, cease the illumination of lights at 10 p.m. for outdoor activities and define outdoor recreational activities facilities as well. So, back to just clarify a little bit on number 1, the UDC has 10 p.m. and then the ordinance has 11 p.m. and can conclude an activity already in progress. So we're recommending the 10 p.m. And this aligns with the country club also as well. And then now I will just pause for commission to provide a different recommendation if needed, or an agreement.
Does anybody have?
Not from here.
I have a question. If it's got a conflict between 10 and 11, what have they been enforcing up to now?
10 p.m., we have to do the most restrictive. So we're just going to continue with that, and that is what's in our ordinance that resembles the dark sky as well.
And have there been any complaints that they need to keep it open till 11?
No, there was concerns of that difference in there, and so, and in alignment with also just large activities such as country club being in the city ceasing at 10 p.m., we're aligning with that.
Are they happy with that, or do they want to stay open till 11? Have they made any complaints? Have you inquired? Have you talked to them at all?
We have not received anything that I'm aware of.
Can I interrupt real fast? So what this is saying though is if something has already started, let's say at 9:58, it started and the lights are illuminated and it runs until 11 o'clock, they are allowed to keep the lights on until 11 o'clock. Is that correct?
No, they're going to have to cease at 10 p.m.
10.
They will have to cease at 10 p.m.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And
Hard stop at 11 if it ran over, and now we're just saying hard stop at 10 no matter what.
correct, yes.
Anybody else? Recommendation?
Scott Husing, City Manager. I was just going to clarify the question on the country club. So we received one concern a while back about the lighting at the country club from some neighbors, but when we investigated that, we reinforced that the country club actually is turning off its lights at 10 p.m. So they would they do and would continue to provide with the revised ordinance at 10 p.m. So there's no conflict there. That's
And they have no problem
They
doing
have,
that?
no, they're good with that. That's what they're doing now, that's what they would continue to do.
Yes.
If their residential has the same lighting as the country club, do they have to turn it off at 10 o'clock too? Like people moving in and putting the same lights as the country club all over their backyard?
Yes, it would be residential and commercial. It'd be all zones, 10 p.m.
Recreational,
Correct, for all outdoor recreational activities.
recreational.
Yeah.
Not for decoration?
No,
Or
correct.
safety?
Correct.
So this is just related to
Sports fields and.
athletic,
Soccer.
recreational
So they
activities
could keep their lights
requiring
on
outdoor
on a
lighting.
personal residence.
Okay,
Okay. Everybody good?
thank you. Continuing with outdoor lighting, now for motion sensors outdoor. The existing codes and the UDC and ordinance have conflicting time limits of motion censored lights illuminated for 10 minutes or 5 minutes each time. With that, council and staff recommends to have the motion sensors lights illuminated for 5 minutes at each time, and then also define what an adaptive control security lights would be. So just to explain further, the UDC has 10 minutes or less, and then the ordinance has 5 minutes or less. So now the recommendation is 5 minutes, which aligns with the Dark Sky International as well, and is currently in the ordinance. Now I will pause for commission to concur or provide a different recommendation.
All in favor? Everybody, I think everybody's good with that one.
Thank you. Last and not least, for outdoor lighting, administrative amendments, and dark sky, the existing codes in the UDC and ordinance have duplicate code sections. And As a result, council and staff recommendation want to combine the ordinance as one consolidated document in the ordinance currently there. So the duplicate sections, just as an example, would be the exemption section, the non-residential standards, administrative procedurals, and applicability. So now it's just a matter of putting it all together in a concise document that we currently have in the ordinance. And then finally, the Dark Sky Community Initiative. Council and staff recommend to complete these proposed amendments first, and then to formally pursue the International Dark Sky Community, which is recognized globally in municipal codes and state territories as well. That application takes about 1 to 3 years, and then we will pursue grant opportunities if there are any there. Here I will pause also.
Does anybody have any questions or discussion? No?
Okay.
I think we're good to move on. Thank you.
Is there
Oh,
some
sorry.
sort of a manual for the dark skies?
Can I?
There's specific rules that we have to be following?
So they will be reviewing the ordinance. So first, we're just doing all of these administrative changes, and then we will provide a copy to the Dark Sky community. They will review it, and then they will provide any suggestions in order to meet the requirements for the dark sky recognition. But throughout it, there's going to be educational awarenesses. There's also going to be studies being done, and these are done by like volunteers through the Dark Sky community.
Are we going to be talking about what's on pages 10, 11, and so forth?
Yes,
We'll be talking about that tonight?
the pages in the staff report or in the
the-
presentation?
All right,
The report, like the red.
where you're showing the red.
Oh, and the amendments. Right, we had just covered those items here in the motion sensors, recreational, and then also the administrative, and how essentially what you're seeing is most of those red added portions are directly from the UDC. And so we just moved it over in order to have a concise, single document.
I'd like to go back to the security motion sensors. Just, are you referring to the motion detectors we have in our homes and our garages, et cetera, that are automatic and I don't think we can set a timer? Or are you talking about ones that are sitting somewhere that are on for a long time?
So this is going to be more so of a concern if it's projecting over into neighbors. So with that, there's also a requirement of a limit of a certain foot candle also. But yes, it's mechanical or electronical devices that are actively regulating the switching duration, intensity of the light. So it could be triggered
But if
by
somebody
motion.
is triggering it for 10 minutes, I want my light on for 10 minutes.
Right, so it should just be set to 5 minutes, but of course, if someone or something keeps adjusting it, I mean, that's just, I'm sure that could happen. But if someone has it on for an hour, then they have to follow the 5-minute limit.
So for an event that would trigger it, I think we need to make sure that we are clear that if an event is triggering it and the event continues for 10 minutes, it's okay to stay on, or 5 minutes, or whatever. But with no event, just to be on for the safety for the night, they should be turned off.
It's adjusted by motion, so as long as there's motion, it will stay on. The point is, if deer goes through that, it will go on, but the deer's gone.
Yeah.
So how long it
And
stays
then it'll go
on.
off.
Correct. That's what they're talking about. If there's still motion, then the lights will stay on as long as there's motion.
And that's okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, I thought I heard you say, no, it has to turn off in 10 minutes. Okay.
but there are still requirements for security lights that you keep on 100% of the time, and there are ordinances for downlighting. You cannot see that light source from resident to resident. So I thought, Commissioner Barnes, you were talking about that light that you want to keep on. You can still keep on, but there's codes.
No, what you're
Pull
talking
that
about
through.
is I have a light coming into my house
Yes, it's on
every evening from the club, and it's on all night.
all night.
And it's their parking, it's in their parking lot.
And you cannot see the light source is what I read the ordinance to be. In other words, it's got to have some type of hood to where you cannot
Or
see
be
that.
face downward, yeah.
Correct.
And this isn't, it's faced right into my back,
Then
into
there's
my window.
There's a process to call.
Yeah, yeah,
You
well,
call the
that's a
city and
personal,
they
yeah.
address it.
And I'll
Correct.
take care of that. But so that's what you're referring to, is something that's constant and not being triggered.
Okay, you say that you're
The
gonna do
motion
this-
sensor,
Motion sensors is temporary.
yes.
Is when it's triggered.
Yes.
Okay, but I got a light on in my corner of my house, and it says in here that it will not exceed 0.25-foot candles at the property line.
So that's not
Correct.
changing.
It can't go
It
over
exists.
into the
How do you
neighbor's
measure
property
that?
line.
Light sensors,
Our
light
HOA
meters.
regulates that
meters.
too.
There are ways to measure sound and light, and just like light should be controlled from resident to resident, sound should be controlled, I said that backwards. Sound can be controlled, light should be controlled from resident to resident. And there's standards in here that they're moving into one document, which I think was well done.
I got no problem with that.
Got it.
What I was wondering is, how do I know I'm not exceeding the limit?
I think if your
Most, yeah.
They have
light is
remote
angled
controls for that.
down and you have a shield over it, like you're not gonna illuminate your neighbor. I think it's more you're facing them out. Like I have floodlights on the driveway. I mean, I live on 10 acres, so I'm not bothering anybody, but I have floodlights that go off and they illuminate out. And so if I had a neighbor, I couldn't do that. I couldn't have those on 24/7 illuminate their house. They would have to be angled down.
But Commissioner Horvath, you're saying, how do you know you're not overreaching or non-compliant? I don't think that's up to the UDC to tell you how to measure it. It's either,
I'm asking a personal question.
yeah,
How do I know?
oh, I thought it was a UDC question.
think if
It
you're-
shouldn't be addressed here.
I think if your neighbor complains.
Right, right.
Then someone gets a meter.
You should
Just wait for that.
I'm really washing the whole side of that guy's house, you probably want to tip it down. If your neighbor complains and you have to go out and prove with a light meter what it is, then you can say, I'm not exceeding the code. And if he gets a light meter and says, yes, you are, so it's more about making sure that you're not doing to someone else what you wouldn't want them.
You do you.
No one has to go out and measure all of their things.
And somebody's bothering you with a light, BB gun.
So are we,
Yes.
everybody in consensus with the
I'm fine.
Okay, thank
Lights.
you.
That wasn't recorded, was it?
Thank you, commissioners. Okay. Now, next, for only the UDC amendment categories, the zoning map we have here is to help clarify where they will be applicable. So we have here circled in red and blue the main ones that we will be discussing here in a moment. So blue is logistics in the zone area, which is here. There's a I forget I have a laser. Here we go. So here is logistics right here. And then we also have mixed use here in this area. And then I believe that one is mixed use. And then this one's mixed use and mixed use here. So now the next categories we will get into will show you where the area is going to be impacted. For the first one, we have retail sale of hemp land use, which is the primary business solely with hemp products. So currently a business would be allowed under retail sales land use. And so in order to respond to that, council and staff recommend to permit conditionally in the logistics and mixed use zones. The conditions would be having to have 500 feet distance between residential zones, schools, religious institutions, daycares, all alcohol establishments, and other hemp retailers. So they would have to have 500 feet distance and be within the logistics and mixed-use zones only. And then we also defined what hemp was. That's just in accordance with the Texas Agricultural Code. And so this is for the primary use we have. Next, there's also a difference between incidental and primary use. Incidental is something similar to an accessory use. Just to put it in a very simple example is you have your house and you have a little home office and you do your little home business there. That's incidental, that's an accessory use to a primary use. In this instance, we could have a primary use be a clothing store, a beauty store, or it could be an alcohol store, and then that's permitted to be there, of course, and with incidental or accessory use of a certain percentage. And so this is what it's saying is 20% or less of the gross square footage of the store display area that's visible to the consumer will be able to have a hemp product within 500 square feet of these zone areas. They still have to be in logistics and mixed use. However, they can have that exception for this one thing. So for instance, we have the gas station and maybe they have a hemp product there. They can continue to operate as such. But then if a newer 100% hemp retail store comes in, they can't do that because they'd be too close to each other, so long as the incidental store is 20% or less. And so I can pause for commission feedback on that.
Does anybody have?
Yeah, but is the new whatever store there by the gas station, is that considered a primary use as is, or would that be an incidental use?
That is a primary use. And now, should this become effective, they will be known as legal non-conforming. So they will have to remain operations the same and not increase the intensity of the use, which means an addition or
Because they're
other.
also next to an alcohol establishment,
Right.
not only a restaurant, but a liquor store.
Yeah, and that was allowed under the retail, what we currently have.
Correct. But if they cease operations for a certain amount of time, they relinquish their use.
Yes, yes.
What's that time?
It's a
6 months or?
I'd have to verify that legal nonconforming, but we
There
do
is.
have it in our code to where if they vacate the use or the
Certain amount of
property,
time.
right?
Or the conditional use permit changes names? I mean, the certificate of occupancy changes names. Does that also trigger a noncompliance?
It could, but
Okay.
it's mostly
Just
the
wondering.
use and what they're
So-
doing on site.
Yeah, Chapter 211 of Local Government Code is specific about non-conforming uses, and the city can be more restrictive, but the requirement for state law is 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it has nothing to do with the change
Or
of
name or
occupancy or
o-
anything.
ownership or
Yeah,
anything.
it's just if the use continues, so.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you. I have no other question, no other concern.
One other question. I understand mixed use, why in the logistics zone?
So that's because we can't make it out, we can't outright ban it. We can't make it
That
impossible.
appears too restrictive.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
1,000-foot hemp shop, but
Right, we only
okay.
have so many lots left that's non-residential.
that's kind of what I thought.
Way back in the corner.
Are we good to move on? We're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the retail sale of kratom. The land use of this also primary and incidental. So currently, there is no city regulation, and the cities, municipalities can regulate this. As such, council and staff recommend to regulate it conditionally in logistics and mixed-use zones, similar to the hemp land use as well. And then to have a condition of 21 years of age with product labeling, which is also required, well, the product labeling is required with the state as well. So with this, it's similar 20% of the difference, yes.
Just
Sorry.
to pause you right there, we got a clarification from the city's attorney's office that
Yeah, so I spoke with Attorney Grove briefly on this, so if we want to do more research, we can look into it a little bit further. But if the statute itself doesn't allow city discretion to raise the age limit, then the city will have to keep it at 18 per the state requirement.
For this, for Kratom.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it'll be 18 years per state because, and state doesn't allow municipalities the authority to do it more. Okay. So I believe that's, yeah. So that's it for the Kratom,
Okay,
yes.
can you just educate me? I have no idea what this product is. Can you just give me a description? I know what hemp is, but I don't know this.
Yes.
I don't think anybody did.
CDC.
I was just looking it up.
So
I didn't go and get this.
kratom is any part of the leaf of the plant Mitochondria speciosa as regulated by the Texas Kratom Consumer Health and Safety Protection Act. And there's also a kratom processor definition, which is a person who manufactures it. And then the product itself could be a food, pill, extracts containing any form of kratom. So it's a type of plant.
Synthetic product that does the opposite, not from experience, but I hear it does the opposite. It gives people a high, and it's being used, it's new, and it's freaky. It's not a good thing.
Should we go further when you say manufactured? Should we also say you're not allowed to manufacture it too? Or can we not say that? Sounds like it could be a local
manufacturing of kratom
manufacturer.
products is already regulated by the Kratom Consumer Protection Act. And then, I guess just to expound, kratom is a plant. I don't remember what countries it originates from, but it does have a substance or compound in it that kind of gives you like an opioid effect. And what these manufacturers do is they kind of concentrate that
Okay.
into pill form or powder form and then resell it.
And then resell it,
Right.
okay, had no idea. I'll withdraw all that.
Manufacturing this.
Yeah, I believe that's governed by state law.
My issue, Madam Chair, my issue with that is we
I
start
need to go get it.
changing this language for the production of this. We need to look at hemp. We need to look at alcohol. We need to look at, I'd rather not go there.
Yeah.
I think it's something to look at, just where would the enforcement come from if we found somebody manufacturing in their home, in the back of a business or something? Where would that enforcement? Not for today's discussion, but that would be the next level.
Yeah.
But
YA thing.
I agree with you. We probably should look at it and say, okay, we're covered by state statute, state enforcement,
For sale and through zoning.
rather than I think that would be
Manufacturing zones, yeah. Where
Yeah.
can you not?
We do
build
have
it?
our manufactured zone, the
Exactly.
logistics one. Yeah, and I mean, we only have a couple left in the city, so,
Restrictions for that, so y'all just look at that one. That's where to look, you're saying where to look at it.
okay.
No, I'm totally
I-
okay with
I'm-
with the sale, the retail, what we're doing here now. It would just be interesting to know what laws, what regulations, and where they are for the manufacture of it. Because if it's already covered by state law and you say we're covered, the police can enforce it if we get this, then we don't need to do it again. That's just an interesting question. I don't even know if it's a planning and zoning question, but I think one to kind of check off the list of, okay, we've got that.
response
I
to-
agree too.
But I would say that I'm fine with what we're doing here at this level in this box.
Comfortable with the direction staff and council are taking this, is my response to your question.
Thank you. Staff can look into that in the future as well. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and maybe it's going back a little bit. Can you describe what, or the definition of store display? At one point you said it's,
It's what's
storefront?
visible. Yes, what's visible to the consumer. So if
so
there's
in
storage in the
theory,
back.
they could have 20% of a product, but the store inside could be 90% sales?
No, from the street, it doesn't matter.
That's why I want to get clarification. Are we
Here's a
talking about?
quick image just to kind of help here. So you see this here on the left shows it's 100% of Kratom, or sorry, the use.
Okay.
Storage is not accounted for, so it's separate. But then right here, you have a small little green portion right here showing 20%.
Okay, so it's not,
And this is just the
Okay.
store display right here where a consumer would be walking around, consumer walking around right here.
Asking about,
So that-
from the street,
no, I'm comfortable with that. I
With
just
that,
want to
right,
make
got
sure
it.
it's not what is just displayed from the street of
Got
a
it.
storefront, but it's actually the square footage of the sale inside, yes.
Yes,
But it still could be 99% of their sales.
right. Right. But they still have to remain that display of only 20% gross. So that's up, down, horizontal. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the data center land use category, and currently this land use is not directly addressed in the permitted use table. And in response, council and staff recommendation is to permit it by special use permit in the logistics zone. And the conditions required with a special use permit would be studies and reports to address environmental concerns and design as well, such as screening, noise, chiller regulations, vibration, water, electricity. And then we also did define data center as well. And so the reasoning for doing all of this is because there's just a national and probably international concern about data centers, and a lot of municipalities are doing the alike or having to react after the fact that they get an application. So with this special use permit, it's going to be required to go to P&Z and City Council public hearing.
Any comments on this one?
where would it, one thing I didn't see in here, where would it be, what zones would it be allowed?
Logistics zone.
Oh, the back one, that's right.
Yeah.
And are there any restrictions that Camp Bullis applies to them in terms of lighting and height anyway, to where?
That Camp Bullis applies to them, possibly, but I can only
which would be good,
foresee.
that would limit them more. if we're
Correct,
going
I
to
would
limit.
think so.
So, I see no issue.
All, they're not like,
Lighting and stuff, but. Okay.
I retired from a company that used to build them, so.
Have no concerns.
Amazon buildings, so. We don't have a plot big enough to build one as of now, so.
Better to have it on the books, but not
No,
likely.
and you never know about future annexation, expansion of the city, and you could pick up a
Right.
big parcel. It's good to start this process now and start putting a fence.
Right. Well, on that note too, data center does address the definition, different forms and types of the data centers.
I think we're good to move on with that.
Thank you. Next is the religious institutions, and currently this is permitted in all zones. And the amendment is to help clean it up and align with what the code similarly had before. There was this concern that staff found that could be allowed in residential zones, for instance. So as a result, council and staff recommend to permit in the community facilities and logistics zones, which aligns with the existing church locations and the schools and community facilities areas.
So there would be nobody out of sync with this.
Correct, yeah. It will not impact anyone.
And parking requirements are covered in other sections of the UDC.
Yes, it's in the permitted use table.
Is this saying that nobody can have any religious discussions in their house?
Nope, you just can't have a
Principal
facility,
use.
a principal
right.
use build. You couldn't turn your house into a church. Church business kind of thing.
Okay.
I think
All
we're
right,
good to move on.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is political signage on public property. Currently, the code has a broad use of 3 signs per candidate during the voting period and requires the removal of the signs 3 business days after voting. And the pole diameter can be 1 foot, and the sign for a sign, the size for a sign, is a maximum of 36 square feet each. And so as a result, council and staff recommendations is to add 3 signs per measure, so that way there can be signs per measure as well. And then to place the signs on public property during electioneering no earlier than 1 day before the voting period, and then to remove it the day after the voting period. And then we also define political signs to include tents and canopies. And then we recommend changing the pole and stake from 1 foot to 0.25 inch diameter or equivalent. And then instead of 36 square feet, 24 square feet each sign.
Any comments or questions on that?
Public.
Correct. Only on public property during electioneering at a political site.
I think the pole stake of a 1/4 inch is maybe problematic the way it's written, of just, a stake is, a pole 1/4 inch, very thin. A foot was crazy, a 1/4 inch might be a little bit, but a stake is a different type of dimension. It's 1/4 inch by 1.5 inches or something like that. So I don't know that a stake would meet that, a stake is not round. I mean,
So it's or equivalent.
a pole stake, I guess you're requiring that it can't be a typical wooden thing that you see, which is 1/4 inch by 1.5 inches that you'd pound into the ground, or that type of thing.
So if you look at it with like the width of it, that's also less than 0.25. So that could be equivalent to that, meeting it.
So in any.
I mean, a 1/4 inch is putting something on your pin, and I don't think that's what any sign normally does now. And you certainly can't put something 24 square feet on something that's a 1/4 inch. I think it's too restrictive.
Are you talking
Maybe
about,
just blow that over.
are you talking about height, or are you?
Oh, the size of the thickness.
Size of the pole.
Yeah. So it was that you could have a pole this big around, and now it's something this, I think we went a little bit crazy on this side of, I think that's a little unrealistic of, that should be,
So I think that what, like most of your signs that are put out on those little H posts are they're 1/4 inch, correct me if I'm wrong, those are 1/4 inch, so they're already being used. Those are the H posts that most of the little signs are put on. And then if they're bigger than that, they're using the stakes, the wooden stakes that I think you're saying that
wouldn't meet this.
You're saying that even though it could be 6 inches wide, but it's still a 1/4 inch thick.
I mean, a stake typically is 3/4 inch by 1.5 inches that you'd see in your front yard, something like that with a sign. But you can't have something that's 24 square feet on any product that's a quarter inch around. And
Madam Chair?
I don't think they're limiting
Oh.
the number
Sorry,
of
Madam Chair.
stakes you can use. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine, go ahead. Go ahead, you started.
I don't see that it's limiting the number of stakes you can use, multiple stakes. One for a 24.
in which case, make a frame, I guess.
Yeah, and a 20.25-inch diameter, I think you're talking about in any dimension.
May I, Madam Chair?
Quarter inch by 4 inches,
After Joe.
Yes.
I would warn my fellow commissioners that if we're going to be talking about the design of the sign, we're going to be starting to talk about the design of the texture or the thickness or the mill of the paper. I think that's something that staff should investigate. Maybe we just express our concern.
That's all I want to do is,
And work it out.
Exactly.
I'm sure y'all are using other codes similar to other cities that have worked, but we'd be getting into every little detail of a sign and the fonts and we'll be ever.
If I may,
Not our role.
I think Mr. Beilstein actually has a good point, because this is not, one of those larger signs is not going to be a yard sign. It's going to be the stakes. This is where we need the feedback from you all as to how big you think the indent in our city property should be. So this
I would
is-
look at other places. I just think that this is maybe inadvertently too restrictive. I think all of it is great. I like everything that. I would just say that maybe staff should go back and look at item number 5 to see a little more realistic. I also don't think we should be damaging city property, so you don't want something that is something big, but also what is the standard that
Also not
normal
one
signs
foot.
do? So
we
maybe a
can
little more
look into
review of that.
Okay. Got it. Thank you for the feedback. Yes.
I want to ask a question, and that is, has there been a problem with putting the 3 signs per candidate during the voting period and remove them 3 days after? Has there been a problem to why you are removing that?
So, wait, removing the 3-day, I'm sorry?
Broad use of 3 signs per candidate during the voting period, remove them 3 days afterwards. You're saying you can place them no earlier than the day before the voting period.
Right.
Is there a reason we're having to restrict that?
So the city can restrict this more than the state, so that we can provide reasonable rules during the voting period. The taking down of the signs within 3 days, that was in our UDC originally. In the revamp of the UDC, somehow that was taken out, and so this is just correcting it, putting it back. We have always had rules where they had to take it off within a few days. Was it 7 before?
I thought it was 3.
I think the
it's
question
7 now.
you're asking is, was there a problem, was there complaints by removing it 3 days after election?
Or
Yes,
just, why are we restricting it to only 1 day beforehand?
Yes, there were complaints. This is the city campus, and it is visited for HOA business, maintenance business, police business, city hall business, and it clutters the campus, and it causes sometimes, depending on the size, during a federal election, you will see those large 36, it was causing visibility issues with vehicles and pedestrians. So we're recommending that we remove 1 day after the election, because 3 days after the election is over. The 1 day before, just to be consistent, because there was confusion when we said 1 day before, 3 days after, 3 days before, 1 day after. So to be consistent, I think the recommendation was 1 day before, 1 day after. But it's mainly for safety issues with vehicles and pedestrians on this campus was the reason why we changed it.
Okay,
Yes.
I wondered if there was a reason, and that's a good reason.
That mainly was, yes.
Okay,
We
and
also hold those signs for 7 days, and that hasn't changed. We will hold them, we leave them on the campus for 7 days, and they can come.
what about what do you mean by including tents and canopies? You're now restricting them to 36 square feet?
We are restricting it to 1 canopy per candidate or measure now. There were questions during this election as to whether a tent with political signage printed on it would count as a sign, and it would count for one of your 3 signs. These are just things that we have experienced that we feel like we should address
Okay.
in the UDC.
Okay, that's what I wondered if there were some
The
issues.
tent is going to be, yes, we are limiting the size of that
Okay,
to the 10 by 10 standard.
okay, but that's not set in here that the tents have to be 10, what'd you say, 10 feet by 10 feet?
It
It
is,
does on page
it's
It's
in,
in the
it is in the
red
document.
part.
Oh, it's not on the presentation, I'm not reading anything else, okay. Okay, and then how about the sign, why are you restricting the size of the sign from 36 to 24 square feet?
Because council believed that that was maybe a little too large for putting on our city campus, which would probably make the stakes that you would need to put those in the ground even larger. It doesn't restrict you from putting large signs on like a vehicle that can move, but this is just restricting what we can have in our property. Again, this is not what people can hold or anything like that. It's
Okay,
just
so
what
they
you're
can
putting
still
in
do the
ground.
yard signs and all that at any size?
No.
On personal property, yes.
On personal
This is-
property,
Yes,
yes, but
that's
this is
what
on
I'm- It's on
public
city
property
property.
during an election.
Right, it says public property, so, okay.
And 24 square, what is it, 24 square feet is pretty large. Like that's like my arm span, like across. And like,
It's 6 feet by 4 feet.
it's huge, so.
Big enough.
They gotta have a lot of money. Okay, I just wondered to know why, what problem there was.
Yeah, we're just trying to
Because we
limit-
could throw darts and go 18 square feet.
Right. And
Or we
did-
could say 26, 28 square feet.
And that
how
is
did
up
you
to
pick
you all to make a
24?
recommendation, if you all feel like it needs to be smaller, or we need to go back.
Okay,
Council was okay with 24 feet, square feet,
Is that the suggestion?
with 24 square feet.
Council just kind of recommended a few different numbers and left it up to staff to interpret. So they said like 20, 24, and we went with 24.
and how'd you come up with that? Are other cities using 24?
Those are kind of standard sign sizes, like 36, 24, 18, 12. Those are pretty standard sizes.
Right, but why did they choose 24 versus another different size? Did you compare it like to Bernie or to Chavano Park or anything?
We looked at some other cities, but we didn't compare this part. We just thought you all would have a suggestion. But we can, I have the documents from several other cities in the area, and I can look at those and give you.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea if it's reasonable or not. And if you're saying council also came up with an array, it might be wise to look at like Chavano Park. It probably takes 5 minutes to Google it and find out. And then you'll be able to tell me, well, it's similar to other communities.
So we have a slide here that shows you.
Right.
So this kind of gives you a visual a little bit, and I fully agree with you, 24 is large, can be 6 by 4. If you all desire 20, that's a 10 by 10 or an 8 by 2. Yes, we can make that recommendation and proceed to put it as a recommendation. So if you feel 24 is too much, or you're welcome to say 20 square feet. Council just threw out a number. Staff just, looking at signs that we've had during federal elections, not just city elections.
Right.
You do see some 24 out there. So I think that's why we just said 24. But if you feel 20 or 18, please let us know and we'll change it.
I think I'd like to make the recommendation that you compare it to 1 or 2 cities. And if they are all scattered, then I guess we just stay with this.
Or we give you all a range and y'all go with it and take it to UDC.
Yeah, I just want to caution you comparing to other cities because we are talking about election signs at the poll site.
Right.
Some cities do not have elections at their city hall. They have them maybe at a library. They maybe have them somewhere else. So to compare to city, it may not be apples to apples. It depends on where their poll site is. For us being at the city complex, the size of the sign matters more maybe to us than other cities who have them at a library or school. So I just want to caution you.
Yeah,
Plywood's 8x4, right, or 6x4? 8x4?
yeah, but I
Or by-
go to Bear County to vote at their library, and
Positive, the
it's
bigger 8x4
littered,
instead of-
but it's all small signs.
Okay, so the recommendation is just
Fine.
to look at other cities and see. Is that correct? Everybody agree with
I just one or two, I say two, or whatever.
Does anybody have a sign footage that they would like to recommend? One by two.
Time I do it myself.
Okay, fine how it is.
I think if you look at other cities and say this is what others are doing, then we can determine if we feel that's reasonable for us. That's what y'all are
Looking at? Don't know the needs, negative or minus, I mean, negative or positive. I'm comfortable with what they're doing already.
Now, can this, so for, look, if they are the 25 or 24 square foot, can the city regulate exactly where they are put in the lawn? Like, maybe the bigger ones are put more out towards the street, whereas the smaller ones are put up near the building?
So the UDC states that we keep a map or an image of where you can put those signs, and we generally put them against, so like up and down Chartwell. There's an area when you're driving up on Boots Gobbets where it's on either side, but we put out a very specific map with a picture of the campus, and we mark off, this is where you can put signs, this is where you can put signs. And again, as a quick reminder, this is outside the 100-foot distance marker, because the 100-foot distance marker is, anything within the 100 feet is under the election code.
The map includes where the canopies can be as well.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, anybody else? Okay, no other questions?
All right, next steps. So planning and zoning public hearing will be conducted on the UDC amendments with a recommendation to the city council. This is expected to be August 13th. And then following that, on September 3rd, city council will conduct a public hearing on the UDC amendments and first reading on the ordinance amending the UDC and Code of Ordinances. And then following that, on September 17th, is second reading by City Council on the proposed UDC amendments and the ordinances. And that concludes staff's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No? Okay, so there are no more agenda items, and the time is 7:22, and we are now adjourned.